Hello and welcome to Poznan in Poland. We're at Lake Malta for the first ICF Canoe Sprint World Cup of 2019. For these athletes, a hard winter's training has come to an end, and this is their first chance of the season to test themselves on the world stage and to lay down a marker ahead of this season's big focus, the World Championships in Hungary in August, where they'll be racing to qualify places for their country at the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo. The conditions are looking pretty bumpy, pretty tricky, with a strong tailwind. It's about 17 or 18 degrees out here at the moment. Jess Walker, Great Britain kayaker and three-time Olympian, is alongside me. Jess, which events are you really looking out for today? Which athletes are catching your eye?
So I think that I'm quite interested in watching the K1 Women 200. That's the event I do, so it'd be interesting to see how the women are doing over the hard winter training that they have. And then in the men's K1 200, there's Liam Heath and Johnny Schofield. Obviously, they're British, so I'm hoping that they do well. And then in the C1 Women 200, there's Katie Reid, so I'm hoping, but obviously I want the British lot to do well.
Well, out on the water today, it's looking pretty bumpy, but it is a good following wind, so hopefully there'll be some fast times. But the first race out on the course this afternoon will be the men's C1 200 metres. And as you can see, we've got two paddlers there from Belarus, two from Ukraine and two from Kazakhstan as well, so a really strong showing from those nations. In lane one from Belarus we have Artsom Kozier, and you can see the paddlers just warming up and getting themselves ready and in the zone to get into their start buckets. This will be the first A final of this ICF Canoe Sprint World Cup. Lane 3, that's Alexei Koldiadik of Poland. And in lane 4 of the Ukraine, that's Andriy Rybachuk. He'll be alongside his compatriot, also of the Ukraine, Oleg Borovik. And Jess, how will these paddlers be feeling as they just bide their time before being called up to the start line?
Well, hopefully they're feeling quite relaxed in a good, nervous kind of way, and focusing on getting into the bucket and focusing on their lane and staying calm.
And there you have in lane 6 of Kazakhstan, that's Viktor Stepanov. And alongside him, also from Kazakhstan, that's Timur Haydarov. And you can really feel the tension building here at Malta Lake. The crowd is starting to build in the stands around us as they pile in to watch these A finals. That's Georgia's Zaza Nadiradze. And finally in lane 9, King Song of China. And they are now in the buckets and in the starters orders. It looks like the Belarusian in lane 2 is just ready to go. And they're underway. The first A final of the ICF Canoe Sprint World Cup is underway here in Poznan. Just 200 meters, the fastest and the most furious event of all out there. And so far, it's looking like a very, very close race indeed. I think it's lane 8, that's Georgia's Zaza Nadiradze, who just noses into the lead. He's taking that lead from Kazakhstan's Timur Haydarov, but also keep an eye out in lane 1 on the Belarusian Artsom Kozier. They've got 50 meters to go now as they approach the finish line. Is it going to be Nadiradze of Georgia? It looks like it will be Nadiradze of Georgia who takes the gold ahead of Artsom Kozier of Belarus. Really, really close event here in Poznan. Really, really difficult to see.
I think lane 2 might have snuck up to get the second there from Belarusia, Maxim.
We're going to really need to see the replay here to see who just picked it. Really, really strong start, as you can see there on the replay from Kazakhstan's Timur Haydarov. Really powerful out of the boat there in that green boat. And you can really see the power going into the water there from Georgia's Zaza Nadiradze. You can see the nose lifting out as he drives his blade down into the water. A big lunge there at the finish. I think it was Nadiradze who took the gold. And let's see how that one finished. There's Nadiradze. Ooh, very, very close. Ahead of Kozir and Hyderov of Kazakhstan. We're definitely going to have to wait for the final judge's decision on that one, but what a frantic and fast race that was. And the results, as we can see, it was Hyderov of Kazakhstan who took that second place. It was just a 1/10 of a second between second and third.
It's quite a fast time considering the conditions as well. It looks quite bumpy out there, so they did a good job.
Extremely challenging, especially in those C1 boats, which are probably slightly more tippy than the K1s as well. And we'll hopefully be able to get a chance to speak to our winner in just a moment. And we're going to look ahead now to the women's K1 200 meters. This is going to be a very, very tightly fought race indeed. We have last year's world gold, silver and bronze medalists lining up on the start line today. All eyes, of course, will be on what many people see as the star of the show, Lisa Carrington of New Zealand, the reigning world and Olympic champion. Someone who's very, very hard to beat and possibly the benchmark at the moment for most 200-meter paddlers. Jess, for you, who would you have your money on in this race?
I think I'd be stupid not to say Lisa Carrington, but I'm sure everyone will be trying to give her a run for her money, especially in that first 100. And I think after that, it's going to be a very close call. There's everyone in the race is looking like they have a chance to really push for the second and third place. It's good to see that there's 2 Chinese girls in there. They've done well to make the final.
Well, there we have in lane 1, China's Ying Mendy. Alongside her in lane 2 from Slovakia, that's Ivana Mladova. And just approaching the start line there in lane 3, that's Denmark's Emma Jorgensen, last year's world silver medalist, a former junior world and European champion in the K1 200 and K1 500 meters. And really starting to prove herself now, really consistently on the senior stage as well. Now that's lane 4, Poland's Marta Woltykiewicz, the reigning European champion, silver medalist at Rio 2016 Olympic Games as well. She'll be really, really keen to push Lisa Carrington all the way. And there we have the 6-time world champion over 200 meters. Such a consistent athlete, Lisa Carrington from New Zealand. Jess, how difficult with the fine margins in 200-meter racing being so close and so fine, how astounding is it that Lisa Carrington has been so consistent and so dominant in this event?
It's incredibly outstanding. To consistently win like that and to improve as much as she has over the last few years is incredible. All of the women are improving and they're all chasing her, but she keeps pushing forward even more, and I think it's incredible that she's showing what women can do. I think she's closing the gap on the men, so hopefully they get faster as well. She might catch them up.
A few really world-class athletes missing from this lineup, which just goes to show just how tight, how close and how competitive women's K1 200-meter racing is at the moment. Out there in lane 4, that's Woltykiewicz from Poland. And you can see just waiting to get in the start bucket, Sweden's Linja Stensels there in the yellow race vest. World Championship bronze medalist last year. And she won silver in the World Cups in both Germany and Hungary in 2018 as well. So a real contender for the medals out there today. And the racers just approaching the start line, getting blown down with the following wind into their start buckets. Jess, for you, Is it good to be first into the buckets or last into the buckets? What are the benefits of each?
I've not thought about this. In the middle, so in between everybody else, so you're not last and you're not first waiting around. But they'll be just focusing on themselves now.
Two-time Olympic champion Lisa Carrington there. Gold at Rio, gold at London 2012 as well. They're in the starters' orders.
We're holding them for a while.
Yeah, really tricky to hold in that position, and they're underway. Big start there from Ina Canoe of Kazakhstan in the yellow boat, but straight away out in front is Lisa Carrington of New Zealand. Linnea Stencils of Sweden goes with her. Sold is Marta Voltakiewicz of Poland. But look at that already. Lisa Carrington noses into the lead. Stencils is pushing her. Stencils in silver medal position as it stands. At the moment, Emma Jorgensen of Denmark is going for bronze. They've got about 50 metres left now. Carrington has almost a boat length lead. It's going to be so close for this silver medal though. 3 boats in contention for silver. Carrington takes the gold for New Zealand. It will be between Emma Jorgensen and Marta Voltakiewicz of Poland for the silver and the bronze. But Jess, what did you make of that?
As we expected, Lisa took it out from the start and then held on to her speed. Very impressive again. And after that, it was really close. I think it was close with Emma Jorgensen and Marta. And then I think Linnea was...
It looked like Linnea in fourth, I think.
Really
I think she
close.
just tailed off towards the end. She had a fantastic start.
Yes.
Really powerful out of that start with Stencils.
Yeah, amazing start.
And Ina Canoe as well. Did well out of the start, but just dropped back. And Carrington, though, you can see the power driving down into those opening strokes. What's the focus, Jess, off that start line? How do you get the fast start?
I think being super focused and going as soon as that bucket goes down is your reaction time. And then after that, it's getting the best strokes possible to really lift the boat out of the water.
Let's see if we can decide on who gets the silver and the bronze. I think it may be Jorgensen who got the silver, but we'll have to wait for the judges to show us the official results as Carrington claims it. And what would you say, Jess, makes a really good 200-metre paddler? What are the ingredients?
Well, if I look at Lisa, so we'll probably have to go off her, is that she's just relaxed.
0.02 of a second there, as you can see, separating the silver and the bronze medals. Carrington in with gold, Jorgensen with the silver, and Voltakiewicz with the bronze. Linnea Stencils just being edged out there.
I just think that Lisa is able to stay relaxed even at that top speed, which is incredibly hard to master. And I suspect that's how she's able to hold on to her speed all the way down the 200.
Lisa Carrington, also the holder of the world's best time over women's K1 200 metres, 37.898 seconds, her best time in Moscow, Russia in 2014. She'll be called now to go and have your boat weighed. How did your body feel after 200 metres flat out, Jess?
Well, sometimes it depends how you do. If you do well, you kind of don't remember the pain. But I would say I get quite a bit of lactic. And then you're considering how short the race is, it's pretty tough on the lungs at the end.
And how much would you say women's 200-metre racing has developed and progressed since it was introduced into the Olympic Games?
I definitely think it's helped develop the women in canoeing and kayaking, because the speed element helps the 500.
I think we can get a word with our winner now.
Hate being beaten. World Cups, World Championships, Olympic Games. It must be nice to get a win today, first big race of the season.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome to be out there and have such tough competition. I think this regatta, the standard of the paddlers is so awesome, so it's nice to be able to be out there and compete against those girls.
Started a long campaign for you. Congratulations, well done.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Yeah, Lisa Carrington looking to maintain that unbeaten record as she heads towards the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. She'll be looking for a third consecutive Olympic title in that one.
Next final A of K1.
And the next race we will have is the men's K1 200 metres. A big race here, Jess, for this one. Who are we looking out for, do you think?
Oh, there is many names in this race to look out for. You've got 2 Lithuanians in there who are pretty fast. You've obviously got the Olympic champion Liam Heath. You've got world champion Peter Menning, and Olympic silver medalist Maxime Beaumont. There's a really good lineup there. I think it'll be close. I'm going to put my money on Liam though.
So here we have, just mentioned, Maxime Beaumont of France. He's in lane 2. The Olympic silver medalist, as Jess said, in Rio 2016. Also World Championship silver medalist back in 2015. They're getting a little bit of time just to continue circling around in their boats, just warming up, keeping their bodies warm. A few people wearing thermals out there today, so looks like it's actually chillier than it looks. Just, has it been quite, I think what athletes would call laney out there? Is the wind pretty even across the lanes, or is it favouring any particular lane, do you think?
I think it's pretty same on all the lanes. I haven't heard anything about it being laney. It doesn't tend to be laney on this course. It's just maybe some lanes are more bumpy. I'm not sure.
There you have on the screen Great Britain's John Schofield, Olympic silver medalist in the K2 200 metres with Liam Heath at Rio 2016 and a bronze medalist together as well at London 2012. Real legacy of Great Britain's strong 200 metre group. There in lane 5 in the middle lane, that's Ignas Navakorskas from Lithuania, European bronze medalist back in 2015. And there we have the reigning Olympic champion, 2017 world and European champion Liam Heath of Great Britain lining up in lane 6. This is going to be the fastest, most explosive race of the weekend. In lane 7, that's Dmytro Danielenko of Ukraine, the former European champion over K1 500. Marko Dragosavljevic of Serbia is in lane 8. European champion in 2014 and 2015, and Sweden's Petter Menning, 2-time World Championship medalist in this event. So all of these athletes have got medals in their trophy cabinets from K1 200 metres, be it senior, under 23. It's going to be very tight, it's going to be very close, and it's going to be very, very exciting. Jess Walker has her money on her compatriot Liam Heath.
I think it's going to be a close race though.
They're just keeping their boats nice and stable before they get called into the start position. It'll be the middle 3 lanes. These races are kind of spearheaded, so the fastest qualifiers will be in the centre lanes. Out of the buckets they go, and it is Ignas Navakorskas of Lithuania who gets away really, really quickly. There's Serbia's Strahinja Stefanovic who powers away as well. But Navakorskas and Heath are going head-to-head in lanes 5 and 6. Heath has the lead so far. Navakorskas is in second. John Schofield as well of Great Britain going well in lane 3. 50 metres of the race left to go. Heath is stretching out his arms, stretching out that lead. Surely he can hold on now. It will be Heath who takes gold. It looks like Maxime Beaumont of France with the silver. And a fantastic finish from Beaumont of France. And Liam Heath there smiles all round as he looks around to see how his opponents are getting on, and well predicted, Jess.
I can't really doubt Liam. He's incredibly consistent, and he knows how to win. And he's also, if you watch him, he's relaxed. even in these conditions.
He's also got such a long stroke, just reaches out and manages to put the power through the long strokes. John Schofield got a very good start as well. Navikorskas of Lithuania went stroke for stroke with Heath out of blocks, but Heath just dug in and really pulled away over the last stage of the event. And then gasped to get his breath back.
Is it Maxime Beaumont in second?
Yes, that's Maxime Beaumont of France that will take the silver, and who will pick up that bronze medal. Ooh. That's out in lane 1. That's the Lithuanian Arturas Seja, who will take the bronze medal in the men's K1 200 metres. Strong support there from Great Britain. Travelled all this way. Oh, there you go. There's a Liam fan for you.
Finał C1 200 metrów kobiet. Na torze pierwszym Katie Reed.
And just a real, still the legacy of John and Liam, and also Ed McKeever's coach, Alex Nikonarov. They're still performing over this 200 metres.
Yeah, I think they are sticking with what they know works, and quite clearly it does. And I've adopted that training programme, and I can say it definitely helps.
Oh my goodness me. The top 6 athletes all within 1 second of each other, all within 0.6 of a second of each other. Liam Heath taking gold, Maxime Beaumont of France with the silver, and from Lithuania, Arturas Seja, the reigning under-23 world champion, with the bronze medal.
Was Johnny in 4th or 5th there? Is really good result for him, because he has announced his retirement. He's now a performance director for the Scottish canoe team, so that's pretty impressive. He can still perform like that, even though he's got other things, bigger things on his mind at the moment.
Already looking ahead to his future. And Jess, for you, do you see anyone standing between Liam Heath and a second Olympic gold medal?
No, I'm going to say no, but I'm sure everyone will give him a run for his money.
We do have another, more than a year to go before the 2020 Olympic Games.
Liam, it must be reassuring to know you can take a year off from your beloved K1 200, come back and win a gold at your first big international race.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic, but a hell of a lot of work's gone into it. I've been really hammering the training, making sure every session's bang on it, and you live for days like this, really.
Family will be watching at home?
Yeah, some of them are up there. Yeah. No, and a massive shout out to my family, for their support. My wife, my little girl at home, I'm sure they're watching the results come in. And a shout out to my coach as well, Eric Farrell, in my opinion, one of the best coaches out there. And really privileged to have his support. So
congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's amazing just to think that just last year Liam was actually focusing on the men's K4 500.
Yeah, to taking a year out of focusing on that event and then to come back and put a performance like that down is incredible. And I think it just shows that's why he is Olympic champion and can probably do it again.
So the next race we have is the women's C1 200 metres final. And another British athlete there, Katie Reed. But I think this one looks like it will be dominated by the Canadians and the Ukrainians as well. There's Katie Reed out in lane 1. Bronze medalist in this event at the World Cups in Germany last year and in 2016 as well. Great Britain really building up their women's canoe squad, thanks to a talent ID programme, bringing in athletes from other sports. And interestingly, the women's C1 200 metres has been added to the Olympic programme for Tokyo 2020. The first time we'll see women's canoe racing in the Olympic Games. And how important do you think that is to canoe and kayak racing, Jess, to have that introduced?
Oh, very important, because it shows the equality across the board, and it's brought in so many more amazing athletes and on the women's teams and all across the world. And yeah, it's fantastic to see.
In lane 5 is from Ukraine, Anastasia Chetverikova, alongside Canada's Katie Vincent, and then lane 6, Laurence Vincent Lapointe of Canada, 6-time world champion at C1 200 metres. She's been virtually untouchable in this event for the last few years. She's looking to keep up that undefeated record as she heads towards the first ever Olympic Games for women's seaboat racing. And then out in lane 8, that's Mahivanet of Cuba, Mahivanet Borisamon, and Ludmila Luzan of Ukraine in lane 9. As they just approach the start buckets. Jess, how much have you seen C1 racing progress over the last sort of maybe 6 years?
Definitely seen it progress massively, and there's quite a big field of really good athletes now. So to make this A final is incredibly hard, and there'll be women who are just as good that also could have been in this A final.
So you can just see them doing little side strokes to keep themselves in their buckets, and just being held at the start until everybody's in position. It looks like Dorota Borowska of Poland is just slightly askew. But they're underway. Out they go. Big, big start there from the Ukrainian athlete. That's Anastasia Chetverikova. But Katie Vincent and Laurence Vincent Lapointe are out ahead now. Both the Canadians, both going head-to-head against each other. It's the reigning under-23 world champion against the reigning senior world champion. Laurence Vincent Lapointe way out in front, but now it's Ling Wenjun of China out in lane 2 who's really starting to push through. Is she going to challenge Vincent Lapointe? Lapointe, though, still with half a boat length lead as they come to within 20 metres of that start line. Vincent Lapointe still with the lead. Who's going to take that silver medal? Fantastic race from Vincent Lapointe, and it will be Katie Vincent of Canada who takes the silver. And it looked like Lin Wenjun of China who won the bronze medal. And another really, really close women's race there, Jess.
Very close. There's some very different techniques as well, I'm noticing there.
Have you ever tried seaboat racing?
I haven't actually sat in one. Well, not sat, sorry. I've knelt in one before. I have to try. I think because it looks so difficult.
It was a big start from both Ukrainian athletes in lane 5 and lane 9, but they weren't able to hold on for the medals. And there's Vincent Lapointe, as I said, 6-time world champion in this event. It looked like she was going to be under pressure from the Chinese athlete in the closing stages of the race, but she certainly pulled ahead. And what power.
She's got some amazing long levers, and she's definitely utilising that.
Uses the whole body, right from the tips of her fingers right down to her toes, and what a fantastic win and a fantastic lead for her. And a brilliant celebration as well. And as Jess was saying, women's C1 racing has really, really developed and come on. The quality of it over the last 6 years has been absolutely transformed. I remember not so long ago not really being able to field a full final of C1 races, and certainly there were a few athletes that couldn't quite make the course, but now the quality has absolutely gone through the roof, and it's become so competitive. And I think a lot of people will be really excited to see this event in Tokyo in 2020. A few races have been culled from the Olympic programme to make way for women's C1 and C2 racing, though. They've removed the men's C1 200, they've removed the men's K2 200 and the men's K4 500. And what's the reaction been amongst the athletes, Jess, for that? Well, I think we're going to be able to get a chance to speak to Laurence Vincent Lapointe very, very shortly. So I'll just hold you there, Jess, and ask you that in a moment. But another fantastic race from her. And to have Katie Vincent, her compatriot, getting silver as well. As they just congratulate each other with a big embrace on that finishing pontoon.
Lawrence, you never surprise us. You're reliable.
I surprise myself every race because, you know, being the first to win doesn't mean much if you cannot stay the first. And, you know, 2010 I won here at the World Championships. It was my first World Champion medal. And, you know, the fact that I've stayed for this long always amazes me, even though you said that's what we expect, but still it's always like doing it again and doing it again, and I'm amazed.
Is that important? Is that what motivates you now, finding things like the fact that you had your first world medal here?
It is important to me, yes, because in a way I was the first here, but I also want to be the first next year and maybe the year after that also. But you know, I want to be remembered not because I was the first, but also because I stayed the first for as long as I could. So it's important. Yeah, coming back here reminds me a lot of things. Good memories.
It'd be a crazy person to tip against you. Congratulations, Lawrence. Well done.
Thank you.
Well, that's the mark of a true athlete, to not just want to be the first once, but to continue to push and break the boundaries. And there aren't many people, are there, women or men, who have dominated their event in the same way that Lawrence Vincent Lepointe has.
And I think Lawrence is showing why the C1 200 metre women is now in the Olympic programme. What an incredible personality to be able to talk like that and to want to keep on pushing the limits. And it's really sad that the other events have had to be taken out, the K2 200 metre men. It's really sad. It's such an amazing event. But unfortunately, there's some rules in the Olympic programme where there can only be a certain amount of events. And I think this is showing what women can do, and it needs to be there.
Well, we've got the results confirmed that Lawrence Vincent Lepointe took the gold ahead of Katie Vincent of Canada with the silver, and Wen Junlin of China taking the bronze. And we now have the medal ceremony for the men's C1 200 metre final.
Puchar Świata w kajakarstwie Poznan Malta 2019. Ceremonia dekoracji wyścigu C1 200 metrów mężczyzn. Medale wręczać będą pan Tomasz Konieczko, wiceprezydent ICF-u w towarzystwie Nomiszwili Kakhawera, team leader z Gruzji.
Medals will be presented by Mr. Tomasz Konieczko, Vice President of the International Canoe Federation, accompanied by Mr. Kakhawer Nomiszwili, team leader of Georgia.
Miejsce trzecie i brązowy medal. Arcem Kozer, Białoruś!
Third place in bronze medal, Belarus.
There's your bronze medalist, Artsem Kozier of Belarus. And what a performance from these three athletes, getting the finals racing underway today. Such a close race between those three 200 metre paddlers.
Miejsce drugie i srebrny medal. Timur Khadarov, Kazakhstan.
Second place and silver medal, Kazakhstan.
There's Kazakhstan's Timur Khadarov, who took the silver, pushing Zaza Nadiradze of Georgia all the way. They went nose to nose in lanes 7 and 8 in this men's C1 200 metres.
Miejsce pierwsze i złoty medal. Zaza Nadiradze, Gruzja.
First place, gold medal, Georgia.
And your World Cup gold medalist, Zaza Nadiradze of Georgia, presented with that gold medal. Another one to add to his collection. And he led from start to finish, holding off really tough competition from Khadarov and Kozier. And we'll have the national anthem of Georgia. may not do, actually. I think that's a World Championship thing. We have to wait for the World Championships to get a national anthem. But nevertheless, a gold medal means an awful lot to these athletes. They're competing against the best in the world, and for them, an opportunity for a selfie, but also an opportunity to really put a marker down against their closest rivals ahead of the World Championships. And remember, in Szeged in August, these athletes will have the chance to qualify places for their country at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. So these World Cups are really, really crucial. So the next race we have today will be the final of the men's K1 1,000 metres. And some really familiar names on that start list. René Holten Poulsen of Denmark, 34 years old now, in his 13th year on the senior international circuit. We've all seen Josef Dostal of the Czech Republic, Fernando Pimenta of Portugal. They've picked up plenty of medals in their time as well, and they'll be ones to look out for. So we've moved up from the 200-metre start up to the 1,000. That's in lane 1. That'll be Oleg Kucharyk of Ukraine, under 23 world and European champion in the K1 500 in 2017 and 2018. And Jess, how much different is it, the 200 metres compared to the 1,000 metres? Are 200-metre athletes a completely different beast to the 1,000-metre athletes?
Some people can do both, so there's some crossover, but for me it would be very different training, a very different approach, different systems being used. So quite normally a 1,000-metre world champion probably wouldn't be able to compete with the 200-metre world champion in a 200 and vice versa. So very different athletes, and I think it's really great that they have the two different distances to cater for different type of athletes. So some people are better at the more endurance work, and some are speedier and more powerful.
And in lane 2, that's the Belarusian athlete Oleg Urenia, world bronze medalist in the K1000 in 2010, two-time European silver medalist in this event as well. That's 2010 and 2011. Out in lane 4 for Australia, that's Tom Green, who won gold in the K2000 at the Under-23 World Championships last year with Joel McKitterick. Just 19 years old, Thomas Green, and mixing it in with these really, really experienced faces. And there's one of them, as we just mentioned, René Poulsen, 34 years old now, of Denmark. World champion in 2015, European champion in 2013 in this event. In the middle lane, Josef Dostal of the Czech Republic. He was world champion in the K1 1000 in 2014. Bronze last year. And in lane 6, the reigning world and European champion. That's Fernando Pimenta of Portugal, the fastest qualifier in this event. In lane 7, that's Rafał Rosolski of Poland. In lane 8, Etienne Hubert of France. Was world champion in the K4000 back in 2010. And out in lane 9, Tamas Gekser of Germany. Just 21 years old. And he was part of the German K4 that won gold in the K4 1,000 metres at the World Championships last year. So Jess, a lot of familiar faces in this race, but also mixed in with some more fresh athletes as well.
Yeah, it just shows that the very experienced, obviously there, they have a lot of experience in this event, and then it's great to see the young ones coming up and gaining their experience.
So the athletes now just moving up into their buckets. Got 1,000 metres ahead of them, and they are out of the buckets, and it's a really quick start from Josef Dostal of the Czech Republic in the black and yellow boat in the centre of your screen in that blue vest. Really good start from him. Also going well out in lane 1, that's Oleg Kucharik of Ukraine. In lane 9 as well, closest to the screen, that's Tamas Getcher of Germany. And there is Fernando Pimenta looking really, really relaxed for Portugal, just putting the power down and edging himself into the lead alongside Josef Dostal of the Czech Republic. But at the moment, it's a very, very close race, Jess.
Yeah, what I like about the 1,000 is I'm guessing, it's very tactical. So everyone has a different type of race. So Fernando goes out pretty fast and somehow manages to hold on, which is impressive. And then you got other paddlers who tend to hold back a bit and really come through at the end, and it makes it really exciting.
Yeah, really, really exciting event to watch, as Jess says, because it can be very unpredictable. You can have athletes who are quite happy to hang back by 10 metres, a couple of boat lengths, and then really put in the power over the last closing stages. And as you can see, in comparison to the K1 200 metres, the stroke rate is a lot lower. They look a lot more relaxed. And it is Pimenta who has the lead, as I said, reigning world and European champion, winning that World Championships in front of a home crowd in Montemor last year. And what a lead Pimenta has already. It looks like Thomas Green of Australia, who's pushed himself into that silver medal position as they come through the 500 metre mark. What an achievement that would be for Tom Green, just 19 years old. Part of the Australian K4 that came 4th in the 500 metres at the Senior World Championships last year. And it's still Pimenta now with 2 boat lengths lead. Jess, they've got about 400 metres to go. What will the body be feeling like after already paddling 600 and they've got to hold on for another 400?
Well, hopefully they paced it right and they're managing it well. That's what all the training they've done will be helping them get down this race. I'm thinking Pimenta's probably found a really nice rhythm and he's just holding on to that. Probably in quite a bit of pain, but they're used to it.
Fernando Pimenta of Portugal has won the European Championships 3 years running. He won silver in the K2 1000 at London 2012 as well with Emmanuel Silva. And 200 metres left to go. Pimenta has a 2 boat length lead, but let's watch out for which athletes are going to start putting down the power over the last 150 metres.
This is where the race can change.
You can see Pimenta now looking slightly less relaxed. The lactic acid will be building. Watch as these boats now pass from the yellow buoys into the red buoys. That means there's 100 metres left to go. Oleg Urenia of Belarus has really started to push up. René Poulsen of Denmark has put his paddles down and is just tapping himself along. He's not going to finish the race. But at the moment, Fernando Pimenta still in the lead, ahead of Oleg Urenia. Urenia perhaps didn't have quite enough to push him. It will be Pimenta ahead of Urenia. And then it will be Josef Dostal of the Czech Republic who takes that bronze. But what a gutsy race from Pimenta, Jess, to have gone out hard at the start and just held it for that whole way.
I'm guessing he's got the confidence to do that, considering he's won so many times. And then obviously you can see the race changes a lot, 750 into the race, and the other athletes are starting to catch him, but there's just not enough time to. So he's obviously timed it perfectly.
Must take a lot of mental toughness to be able to block out anyone who's perhaps coming up alongside you over those last 200 metres.
And also whoever's next to Pimenta, knowing he's going to go out fast and being confident in their own race plan to keep going.
Well, the men's K1 1000 has been a real mainstay of the Olympic programme. That's why we've got a lot of really familiar faces, men who have stuck around and picked up medals year after year, like Fernando Pimenta.
You can see, even though it's bumpy out there, how technically well he's paddling and keeping everything strong, even in the bumpy water.
He's got his name on his cap just in case he forgets whose it is. My mum used to do that for me as well. And despite the lead that Pimenta had, Oleg Urenia from Belarus really did start to push it. Just didn't quite have enough though. Perhaps needed to lift it a little bit earlier.
And Etienne Hubert in fourth, done really well.
Yeah, the Frenchman out in lane 8. Good finish from him. And it was Joseph Dostal, the Rio 2016 Olympic silver medalist, who took the bronze medal. And Pimenta at the moment is really starting to mark his dominance in this race. Now, on the World Cup circuit, you don't get the full breadth of athletes from all the nations that you would do at the World Championships, but that was such an assured performance from the 29-year-old. I think he's just realised that he's been called to have his boat weighed, and all the medalists will get called for their boats to be weighed. Jess, what's that for? Why do their boats need to be checked out after the race?
Well, hopefully no one's cheating, but sometimes someone might try and have a lighter boat, and that is an advantage. So it's all to make sure everyone has the same weight boat, so it needs to be 12 kilos. But yes, if you win the race, you'll always be called up for boat weighing. I'm surprised that some of them don't have spray decks on, because if it's a bit bumpy, you get water in your boat, and you don't want water in there, because that's obviously extra weight you don't want to be carrying down the race.
Looks like Fernando Pimenta is just debriefing his race with his coach there. Perhaps something that he didn't look like there's something that he's not too happy about, but a gold medal for Pimenta, absolutely fantastic, as we just see Joseph Dostal approach the landing pontoon.
You'll see that Joseph's boat is a little bit lower in the water than everybody else's, because he's so big. And that's what's also interesting, is all these athletes are all different sizes. So Pimenta's probably the smaller size, and then Dostal is, I think he's 6'5" or more possibly. And they're coming down nearly the same time.
And I think we got a chance to speak to our winner now.
Fernando Pimenta, you timed that to perfection. It was a little bit closer than you maybe realised.
Yeah, it's close to the perfect, but I feel today a little bit strange, because the wind pushed more waves. But in the start, we feel some wash in the front side, and don't have a good stability to start, and have a bad start. And after I think 100 meters, I take the first place and come to control. And I know last 200, it's when we feel more instability, and just control, because in 1 hour I have 500 final.
Well done, mate. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Well done.
Yeah, as Pimenta says there, Jess, it's all about control over 1,000 metres.
Yeah, definitely, and he definitely is mastering that.
And really interesting what he was saying about that he was surprised about how windy and how wavy it was out there.
Yeah, that made me feel a bit better about myself, that if he's saying it's hard to control in those conditions.
Next race we have is the men's C1 1,000 metre final. And we've got two German athletes going head-to-head in the middle lanes. We've got the dominance of Sebastian Brendel, 31-year-old, against the youngster, 23-year-old Conran Robin Scheibner, reigning under-23 world champion. That's going to be the really interesting battle to look out for in those centre lanes. And don't forget also Ezequias Queiroz dos Santos of Brazil, the fastest qualifier with a time of 3:51.307, who's also going to be pushing for that gold medal. You can really see the waves starting to whip up 1,000 metres down the course. I think the wind is starting to look a bit stronger now here in Malta Lake in Poznan. Here at this first ICF Canoe Sprint World Cup of 2019. You can see there in lane 1, that's Jose Ramon Pellier Cordova of Cuba, just 18 years old. Silver medalist in the C2000 at the Junior World Championships last year and in 2017 as well. And just like the men's K1000 metres, we have got medalists from lanes 1 to 9. Really high quality field here at Malta Lake. And in lane 2, that's Poland's Tomasz Kaczor, the gold medalist at the World Cup in Montemor in 2016, European silver medalist in 2015. Then in lane 4, as you can see on our screen there, that's Brazil's Ezequias Queiroz dos Santos, the reigning world champion in the C1 500 and the C2 500 as well. In lane 3, alongside him, that's China's Wang Hao, who picked up 2 bronze medals in the C2000 and the C2 500 in Duisburg World Cup last year, and a silver in the C2 200 in Szeged. Now, here we have one of those 2 German athletes all going out in the middle lanes. That's Konrad Robin Scheibner of Germany and Sebastian Brendel of Germany as well. Olympic champion in 2012, Olympic champion in 2016. He's won the last 4 world championships in a row. And he's a 7-time European champion as well. Such a dominant athlete, Sebastian Brendel. He's not going to want to relinquish his crown. In lane 7, that's the Cuban Fernando Dayan Jorge Enriquez. In lane 8, that's Maxim Piatrov of Belarus, World Championship bronze medalist in the C1 500 in 2015 and 2017 as well. And finally, in lane 9, Martin Fuchser of the Czech Republic, who actually currently holds the world's best time in this event, 3:42.385. And as you can tell, a really high caliber competitive field in this final of the men's C1 1,000 meters. And they're underway. Really big strokes going in early on from Martin Fuchser of the Czech Republic in lane 9. Really high rate from him. Out though in lane 7 and 8, that's Fernando Dayan Jorge Enriquez and Maxim Piatrov. And also going well, that's Wang Hao of China. But with the early lead, 100 meters in, that's Sebastian Brendel, the 31-year-old German. Ezequias Queiroz dos Santos of Brazil going close alongside him, along with Konrad Robin Scheibner. You can see in these events they paddle on different sides. Some paddle on the left, some put their paddles in on the right. And at the moment, I think it looks like Martin Fuchser, who's also going well in lane 9, the reigning European champion in the C1000 and the C1 500. Difficult to see from this angle, really, who it is that is nosing into the lead. But Wang Hao of China is looking really strong, qualified second in the semi-final. But at the moment, as we approach the 500-meter mark, this race could really go any way. All of these athletes are in contention for the medals, and they're so close.
They're a lot more closer in this race than the other K1 men's race. So I'm sure by the time they get to 750, the race will change dramatically.
And I suppose even as a K1 athlete, Jess, you must have heard the name Sebastian Brendel an awful lot during your career.
Yeah, he's incredibly consistent, and what's interesting here is that he's born in 1988, and then you have Jose from Cuba, who's born in 2001, and I'm sure Sebastian was already paddling by the time he was born.
Yeah, so 13 years, my math is not great, but 13 years between these athletes on this.
13 years, yeah.
There in lane 2, that's Tomasz Kaczor of Poland. European silver medalist in 2015. They've got 400 metres left to go now, and the field is really starting to spread out. Out in lane 1, it looks like the Cuban Jose Ramon Pelier Cordova, who is in the lead. That's the 18-year-old that Jess was just talking about. Silver in the C2000 at the Junior World Championships last year. Now really showing his quality in the individual discipline as well. They've got 250 metres to go. Really interesting race out in lanes 1 and 2 between Pelier Cordova of Cuba and Canoe of Poland. Still going well though in lane 9, Martin Fuchser of the Czech Republic. But who's going to put the power in over the last 200 metres? Has Sebastian Brendel got more to push through the field? Has Konrad Robin Scheibner got any more to pass these athletes and break into the medals? This is going to be a very, very exciting last 100 metres here in Poznan.
Wow.
Quiros dos Santos from Brendel really starting to put the power down, but Pelier Cordova of Cuba still in the lead. Thomas Canoe still in silver, but Brendel is starting to push forward. Can Brendel break into the medals? It will be Pelier Cordova of Cuba who takes the gold. The silver will be between Tomasz Canoe of Poland and Martin Fuchser of the Czech Republic. And I don't think Brendel or Konrad Robin Scheibner or Ezequias Quiros dos Santos of Brazil really had enough over the last 200 metres to claw back the distance that those top 3 athletes had put on them. And it's really interesting, isn't it, Jess, to see the dynamic of the racing and who decides to go out hard and see who decides to hold back into the last 200 metres.
Yeah, you couldn't tell from that race at the beginning who was going to win that, and that's just so impressive for an 18-year-old to win a race full of probably, I'm guessing, some of his legends that he looks up to, so it's incredible. And
really, really exciting for Cuba as well to have a young up-and-coming athlete like that. Cuba not necessarily, they've got a good heritage in C1 racing, but not necessarily always world beaters, so fantastic for them to have a young athlete really putting his mark down, especially in this year where they're looking to qualify boats for the Olympic Games. Now, what an assured performance, what confidence for such a young athlete to start to put the power down at about 500 metres and continue to lead it out and keep enough in the tank to hold off any competition over the last 100 metres. Really see the focus in his eyes, focusing towards the finish line, not looking at where his paddle's going. What a close race. Pelier Cordova taking the gold. It was Fuchser, it looked like, who got the silver. And Tomasz Canoe of Poland with the bronze. And interesting to see the athletes in the outside lanes picking up the medals. It's normally spearheaded with the athletes who qualified first in the centre lanes. So we have a gold there for Jose Ramon Pelier Cordova of Cuba. The time of 3:45.142, a really fast time, just over 3 seconds shy of Fuchser's world's best time. And look at that. Second to 5th place, all within less than a second of each other there. Really such tight racing, such close racing over such a long distance. Next race we have is the final of the women's K1 1,000 metres. This is a non-Olympic event, but still, nonetheless, very, very competitive, very closely fought. And two athletes from Australia, 2 from China in this start line. Out in lane 1, that's Nicole Gepska of Poland, just 18 years old. Alongside her in lane 2, Yang Jia Li of China. Finished 5th at the World Cup in Duisburg last year. Alongside her, also from China, Wang Nan, another 18-year-old in this race. A lot of young faces, a lot of less experienced athletes. And then in lane 4, we have Ali Bull of Australia, under-23 world champion back in 2017 when she also won silver in the K1 500 metres. And she'll be joined in this race by her teammates, also of Australia, Elise Burnett. Fastest qualifier time of 3:56.334. The 2017 world champion, Elise Burnett. So Australia have got a lot of quality over 1,000 metres in this women's event. In lane 6, that's the Slovakian Mariana Petrushova, 19 years old as well. So lots of young, up-and-coming talent. From the Czech Republic, in lane 7, that's Anna Koziskova. She's 33, so 15 years older than some of her opponents in this race. Out in lane 8, that's Serbia's Kristina Bedek. European champion back in 2016, world silver medalist in 2015. And in lane 9, that's Slovakia's Jessica Zatlkajova, 18 years old as well, 5th at the Junior World Championships last year, 6th at the Junior Europeans. And they just line up into the start buckets. Wind really starting to pick up across the course now. You can see little waves. We are getting some fast times here in Poznan. These girls looking for personal bests. Really, really strong start there from Elise Burnett of Australia. She gets her stroke rate up really quickly. She's going really closely now alongside her teammate, Alyssa Bull.
I would expect Elise to go out fast. I think that's what she tends to normally do, and then she does a good job of holding on. And then Ali Bull, I think, tends to start a bit slower and then comes through at the end. So I would be looking to see that.
Yeah, really interesting to see the dynamic of this race. And Jess, although this is a non-Olympic event, you can see from especially sort of the ages of the paddlers in this race. We've got Nicole Gapska of Poland, 18 years old, Wang Nan of China, also 18, Jessica Zatlkajova of Slovakia, another 18-year-old, up against some of the more experienced faces like Anna Koziskova of the Czech Republic. But as a non-Olympic event, this is a really good opportunity, isn't it, for young paddlers to blood themselves in the international stage?
Yes, it means that they can get on the start line and race the more experienced athletes, and because maybe in their own country they're not quite yet the fastest K1, so this event allows them that experience. And for people like Elise and Ali Bull, they know they're good at this event, so they may as well get on the start line and do it, and it's an extra event for them.
Well, as it stands at the moment, it looks like in Australia first and second, whether or not they can hold on to these positions. But Elise Burnett has a boat length lead ahead of Alyssa Bull. And actually these two are usually... Oh, Alyssa Bull is now starting to push up and close that gap on Elise Burnett. They come towards the 500-metre mark. Now, these two paddlers normally in K2 together. Now they're next to each other in the two lanes, in the two centre lanes, going head-to-head.
They're both incredible athletes. I had the privilege of training with them in Australia earlier in the year, and yeah, it was tough to keep up with them on the longer stuff.
But Burnett there looks so relaxed. She looks like she's just going out for a Sunday cruise, but oh, it's going to be so tight now with these two Australian paddlers. They've got just 400 metres left to go. They finished 8th in the K2 in Rio 2016, bronze together at the Under-23 World Championships in 2015 in the K2 500. But Alyssa Bull now has started to push her way into the lead, just as Jess Walker predicted that she's got a really fast, powerful finish. Who else in the field can get to these two strong Australian paddlers? Is anyone else going to contend for the medals? They've got 250 metres left to go. Burnett with the long, steady stroke. Bull with slightly higher stroke rate, but they're still going nose to nose. It's Bull who goes through the 200-metre mark first, but there's clear water between those two Australian athletes and the rest of the field. It's Wang Nan of China, who's currently in third, the 18-year-old. Fantastic race from the youngster there. And Still going nose to nose. Alyssa Bull has just lifted the power and lifted the stroke rate, but Burnett is still with her. They're both still so close. They're into the red buoy area now. 100 meters left to go. Bull is just pulling away, but Burnett is sticking on her tail now. 50 meters to go. Has Burnett got anything left in the tank? She's starting to close. This is going to be a very, very close race. Who will take the gold medal? It will be Alyssa Bull from Australia with the gold, Elise Burnett, her compatriot, with the silver, and it is Wang Nan of China who takes the bronze. And what an exciting race between those two Australian paddlers, Jess.
Yeah, it's exciting. It just shows that they must have competitive training between each other, which is obviously helping them become even faster. And yeah, that's what I probably predicted, that Ali would race like that and Elise would go out hard, but I wouldn't have been able to tell you who would win that. So it's really, really good for Ali to have won that.
Of course, they'll be used to paddling against each other because they must do it all the time in training, but also in domestic racing.
Yeah, it just shows that I'm sure they're very happy for each other as well.
Do you think, from your perspective, would it add a little bit of an extra spice to your race if you were lining up in an international like this alongside one of your teammates?
Well, I know these two are really good friends. They're best friends. So I think, would you have a little bit of element in you thinking, oh gosh, do I want my best friend to win this? But no, you're still going to try your hardest. It's healthy competition.
But it was a really, really strong race from both of those athletes to have such clear water between themselves and the rest of the field. And the race really was on for that bronze medal. That's what it was all about. The gold and silver were tied up. And it was Yang Jilai of China who took the silver. And it looked like Mariana Petrusheva of Slovakia who finished in fourth there. So far we've had a gold for Alyssa Bull of Australia in the women's K1, and a gold for Jose Ramon Pelier Cordova of Cuba in the C1000 men's race, and the men's K1000 was won by Fernando Pimenta of Portugal. And you can just see the athletes getting ready there to get their boats weighed again. We've got some more exciting racing coming up later on as well. We have the confirmation of the times. Just over half a second separating those two Australian athletes. Bull of Australia taking the gold. Wang of China with the bronze. Burnett with the silver. Petrusheva from Slovakia taking fourth. Bedek of Serbia in fifth.
And some fast times as well there, 52, 3:52 is a good time, especially in these conditions.
Again, just like the men's C1000, just 3 seconds off the world's best time. That world's best time for the women's K1000 is currently held by Tennille Hatton of New Zealand. That's 3:49.423. She did that in Moscow in 2014. The world records fell in Moscow in 2014. You can see there's Burnett just getting out of the boat. And we'll no doubt see Bull and Burnett competing together in K2 again later on this year. Got a lot of depth in the Australian squad at the moment, as we'll see later on in the programme and into the finals tomorrow as well. And we can get a word now with our winner. Or not, as the case may be. She prioritises going and giving her best friend congratulatory
you and Elise,
hug.
you're such good friends, and you pushed each other all the way to the line there. What was that like?
Yeah, there was a lot of banter from, us and all of the Aussie team. We're K2 partners, roommates. It was always going to be a little bit of a grind, a little bit of a friendly competition, a bit of a tussle, but yeah, it was good.
Congratulations on the gold medal.
Oh, well, thank you. It's good to have AB standing right next to me, so sweet.
That really goes to show that they really do mean it, and their friendship is put above all else. So as I said, yeah, we've got lots more racing coming up later on. We've got the final of the men's K2 500 and the women's C1 500. And that will be followed by the men's C2 500, the women's K2 500. And also rounding off the A finals today will be the men's K1 500 metres. Jess, what's been the highlight for you so far today?
I've enjoyed all the races. I think the one we just watched there was lovely to see, that two friends that train together competing and that they can come off the water and be happy for each other. That's really nice to see. Obviously I like the 200s, they were close, and it's just good to see everyone out racing after hard winter's training.
So we will now see the medal ceremony for the men's K1 1000 metre A final. What an exciting race this was.
Puchar Świata w kajakarstwie Poznan Malta 2019. Ceremonia dekoracji wyścigu K1 1000 metrów mężczyzn. Medale wręczać będą pan Wiktor Felix, prezydent Federacji Kajakowej z Portugalii, w towarzystwie pana Tomasza Konieczko, wiceprezydenta ICF.
Medals will be presented by Mr. Victor Felix, president of the Portuguese Canoe Federation, accompanied by Mr. Tomasz Konieczko, vice president of the International Canoe Federation.
Miejsce trzecie i brązowy medal. Józef Dostal, Czechy.
There we have the bronze medalist from the Czech Republic, Józef Dostal. A brilliant performance by him. The Olympic silver medalist at Rio 2016, taking bronze here in Poland in the first ICF Canoe Sprint World Cup of the season.
Second place and silver medal, Belarus.
Oleg Urenia of Belarus, just unable to catch Portugal's Fernando Pimenta over the closing stages of the race. Pimenta just holding off despite Urenia's really powerful finish.
Miejsce pierwsze i złoty medal Fernando Pimenta, Portugalia.
First place and gold medal, Portugal.
And Fernando Pimenta of Portugal adding the gold medal to his connection. Such a dominant athlete in this event at the moment. Reigning world and European champion. Has won the Europeans 3 years running as well. And really starting to make really making his mark ahead of Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games next year. Well, he'll certainly be eyeing another medal.
You can see here the height difference between the athletes.
I'd actually never noticed that Pimenta was so small, but I guess that's because Józef Dostal of the Czech Republic is very, very tall and also a strong-looking athlete, isn't he?
It's just amazing that people can be so different in size and structure, but they can do a pretty similar race.
So the next race we have is the final of the men's K2 500 metres. This is another non-Olympic event, but no less hotly contested. It will be fast, it will be furious, and I can assure you it will be painful for those involved. The lactic building up over 500 metres, I can imagine, Jess, especially in K2, is quite intense.
Yeah, but they have a friend with them to help push them along or pull them along. And it's obviously a shorter race. If there's two of you, you're going a lot faster.
And do you think it takes a particular skill to be able to paddle in a K2, or is it something that anyone who can paddle K1 can just up and do and fit into a double, into a K2?
I don't think anyone knows the answer to this one, but you know if you can paddle with somebody. So some people just aren't able to gel, and whereas you might have a paddler that you might not think would make a good team boat paddler, but they'll get in a K2 with somebody and it'll just gel and they'll stick together.
And in lane 1, we have the French pairing of Aurélien Le Gall and Pierrick Bail. Our first K2 event of the day, our first double event of this World Cup. There alongside them from Germany, that's Martin Hiller and Thorsten and Jakob Thorsen. In lane 3, we have Denis Mišak and Juraj Tar from Slovakia. In lane 4, representing Australia, that's Riley Fitzsimmons and Jordan Wood, both part of that Australian K4 that World Championship gold in 2017. And they're alongside the Portuguese pairing of Emmanuel Silva and Messias Batista. In lane 6, a second French crew. That's Guillaume Berger and Guillaume Lefloc de Courchemont. In lane 7, that's Stefan Vekic and Vladimir Toruberov of Serbia. From Spain. In lane 8, that's Juan Orias and Enrique Adan. So boats just nudging their way into the start buckets. These buckets holding the boats in place, making sure that everyone stays level on the start line. And away they go. And a really good start there from France. That's Berger and Lefloc de Courchemont in lane 6, who seem to just get their noses out of the buckets a little bit early. And see the stroke rate really building up over this 500 metres. It is France, though, who seem to have the lead in the early stages. Their teammates Le Gall and Bail out in lane 1, also going strongly. Serbia's Vekic and Toruberov pushing things along nicely as well in the early stages. And this is really, really close racing. Jess, the power and the stroke rate here is really, really obvious, isn't it, in comparison to K1 racing?
Yeah, because there's 2 of them, there's so much more power in the boat, so you can hold the stroke rate up for longer, and the people that paddle well together, you can see that they're in. The obvious is being in time with your partner, so the guy in the back.
We are into the last 100 metres. It looks like France, Australia and Serbia at the moment who are in those medal positions. Portugal going well as well, but it's clearly France who have the lead into the last 50 metres. Australia in the silver medal position. Will they hold off the Portuguese pairing? It will be first for France, a gold medal going to the French pair of Berger and Lefloc de Courchemont. It looked like Fitzsimmons and Wood of Australia taking the silver, with Emmanuel Silva and Messias Batista of Portugal taking the bronze. But Jess, that was a thrilling finish from the K2 paddlers there.
Yeah, it was really good. I think the French pair were ahead from the start, and I think because the race is so short, it definitely is an advantage to be ahead at the beginning, because there's not enough time there to catch up. But I think the Australian pair did a good job of chasing them down.
Yeah, it was a really, really strong start from Berger and Lefloc de Courchemont. We saw them with the first stroke just getting straight out of the blocks. How important is that first stroke, Jess, in any event in kayak racing?
So in the 200, it's quite vital, but you still got a bit of time to make up for it if you're really good. But then in the 500, you might be able to get away with a bad first stroke. But obviously it's good to set yourself up well right from the beginning.
See the perfect unison, really identical rotation, identical strokes from the French K2 pairing. They take gold by half a boat length, really, really close there for second and third. But Fitzsimmons and Wood of Australia take the silver. Those two won gold together at the Under-23 World Championships back in 2015 in the K2000. Interesting to see what Australia decide to do with their crew boats this year, especially in the men's department. Tend to mix things up between the World Cups and just sort of testing things out to see who will be their best bet for qualification later on in the year. And then we have Guillaume Berger and Guillaume Le Floch de Courchemont of France, taking the cool stakes also very seriously, as much as they take the racing seriously, with their matching glasses and matching moustaches.
I really like the French kit. It's different.
So that was our first doubles event of the day. Lots more to look forward to over the coming 40 minutes. It was the Portuguese crew that took the bronze medal, Manuel Silva and Messias Batista of Portugal. Manuel Silva is a name you may be very familiar with, world champion in this event in 2013 with João Ribeiro. Olympic silver medalist in the K2000 at London 2012 as well. That was with Fernando Pimenta. I think we'll be seeing a lot more of this French pair this year.
Congratulations to you both. It's tough out there today. It's a good win though for you.
Oh yeah, sure. I think it was very hard because of the wind, but we did all we wanted in that race. We were solid on the water, and so we are very happy for this win.
We'd like to win.
Congratulations, well done.
Thanks.
So there you have your gold medalists in the men's K2 500 metres. But the next race will be the women's C1 500. We've just got the confirmation there of that finish. 1:28.026, a minute and a half off. Sorry, a second and a half, minute and a half. That would be a very, very long 500 metre race. 1.5 seconds off the world's best time. So we are seeing some really fast times out there on the course this afternoon. So just prepare for the women's C1 500. They'll be out there doing their warm-ups. Again, 2 Chinese athletes in this final, 2 from Ukraine as well. British athlete Afton Fitzhenry, you want to look out for also.
I think Afton likes these conditions. She did very well last year at the Under-23 Europeans in conditions like this.
So in lane 1 we have Germany's Johanna Handrick. She made the final of the Under-23 Worlds in 2016. Alongside her in lane 2, that's Gabriela Laditjova of Slovakia. She was a finalist in the C1 200s at the World Championships last year, as well as the finals of the C1 200 and C1 500 at both the Under-23 Worlds and Europeans. Then we have Anastasia Chetverikova of Ukraine, bronze medalist in the C2 500 at the Under-23 European Championships last year. Alongside her is Yang Yazhu from China, just 18 years old. And alongside her is also China's Zhu Shizhao, gold medalist at the World Cup in Szeged last year. In lane 6, that's Ukraine's Ludmila Luzan, the reigning Under-23 European champion. She won back-to-back titles in 2017 and 2018. Lane 7, that's Magda Stani of Poland, a finalist at last year's World Championships. Great Britain's Afton Fitzhenry goes in lane 8. Bronze medalist in the C1 200 metres at last year's Under-23 European Championships. A real strong up-and-coming athlete for Great Britain. And out in lane 9, we will have Moldova's Maria Olarasu of Moldova there, who actually turns 19 on Tuesday. So as we saw earlier in the women's C1 200, again, C1 500 meters is getting more and more competitive with the introduction of women's canoe racing at the Olympic Games. That'll make its debut in Tokyo in 2020. Earlier on, we saw a gold medal for Laurence Vincent-Lapointe of Canada in the C1 200. But the 500-meter athletes are ready to go. And they're underway, and it's a big, big start out there in lane 6. That's Ludmila Luzan of Ukraine, possibly the favourite for the gold medal here this afternoon. The reigning under-23 European champion. Bronze at the Senior Europeans last year as well, and a former junior world champion. That was back in 2015, so the one that a lot of people will have their eyes on. She'll have a target on her back. From Zhu Zhishao of China, certainly. He's out in lane 5. You can see the waves, Jess, are really starting to pick up, and a few supporting strokes put in by the athletes there.
I think with the waves, they can turn your boat to different directions, so they're having to steer quite a bit.
Luzan there of Ukraine, some really deep, powerful strokes from her as they come up to the halfway mark in this race. She certainly doesn't look perturbed by the bumpy conditions. It's Luzan who has that boat length lead. But the race for silver is certainly on between Anastasia Chetverikova of Ukraine, her second race of the day after racing in the C1 200. They're through the 200-meter mark now, and this is going to be a very, very tight last 200 meters. Zhang of China is starting to close in on Luzan of Ukraine. The gap is certainly getting smaller. Zhu of China and Zhang of China in lanes 5 and lanes 4 now are up with Luzan of Ukraine. There is nothing to separate these 4 athletes out the front as we come into the last 100 meters. And you can really see the power now being put in by Zhang Yazhu of China, the 18-year-old, but they're still going nose to nose. There is nothing to separate them. 50 meters to go. I could not call this one at all. It's Zhishao of China now, who just edges in front of the lead, but Chetverikova of Ukraine looks like she will take the gold ahead of Zhishao of China, but I wouldn't like to put my money on it. We're really going to have to see the judge's decision on that finish there, because that was incredibly close.
That was a really good race. A lot changed in that as well. It was looking like, did you say Luzan?
Luzan, yeah. Ludmila Luzan of Ukraine.
She looked way ahead, and then her teammate had a different race plan.
And Jess, how, does it change the psychology of the race when you have, 4 people in a line? How hard is it to really focus on yourself?
I think if you use it to push yourself, so there's the motivation that I suspect that if there's 2 of you head to head, that the times are going to be faster if you use it to your advantage.
And here we have Ludmila Luzan of Ukraine, and she had that really, really strong start. It looked like Zhu of China was struggling a little bit with the bumps early on, but she certainly overcame that and pulled right back into the race. And there we have on the screen your gold medalist in the women's C1 500 meters, Anastasia Chetverikova of Ukraine. Such a close finish, and Zhu of China taking the silver, with Ludmila Luzan, who led the race for so long, just slipping back into that bronze medal position. Really showing just how competitive this women's canoe boat racing really is. two Ukrainian athletes on the podium. They really have a lot of depth in both kayak racing and canoe racing. And you can see the wind is really causing them some problems over the finish line there. And coming up, we'll have the men's C2 500, the women's K2 500, and also the men's K1 500 as well. We've got some really exciting names to look out for, especially in the women's K2. Frances Manon, Ostons and Sarah Guillot, the reigning European champions. They'll be out on the course later on in the women's K2 500. Also the Slovenian pairing of Spela Ponomarenko-Janik and Anja Osterman. Interesting to see how Spela Ponomarenko-Janik performs, coming back from having her second child just a few months ago. That'll be, yeah, an amazing story for her if she can come back and get into the medals. But here we have the two medalists from Ukraine, Anastasia Chetverikova, who was in lane 3, she took the gold, and Ludmila Luzan of Ukraine with the bronze. And we'll have a chance now to speak to
Anastasia, congratulations, you beat your teammate, you've got a gold medal. How was that for you?
It's so good because I not understand what is finish. I quickly, and it's very good. I'm happy.
You should be happy. Well done. Enjoy it.
Yes, of course. It's happy and all. It's funny because I not weather not good, and I don't know what I want, what I can do at this station. And when I finish, I understand what I win, and it's so cool.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you so much.
There's another athlete really stressing just how tough the conditions out there. It's so hard to gauge that when you're just looking at it, and it looks like a nice fast following wind, but yeah, as they say, really, really difficult for them out there. And Jess, from an athlete's perspective, what do the athletes think of racing at Poznan? We haven't been here in Poland for a canoe sprint international for 6 years. Is this a good place to come? What do people think of the venue and the water out there?
I think it's a really great venue, and it's a lovely lake. There's a lot going on around here, and normally, well, when I've been here in the past, it's not always cold. But there's mixed messages. I think some people, there's been some really fast times that have been done here, and some people really enjoy it, and then other people might struggle. But it's a good challenge.
Well, we're just about to see the medal ceremony, the award ceremony for the men's K1 200 metres. That fantastically hard-fought battle that we saw out on the course earlier on. We just had 0.6 of a second separating first place down to 6th in this race.
And that's really close.
Ceremonia dekoracji wyścigu K1 200 metrów mężczyzn. Medale wręczać będą Anteusz Wróblewski, prezes Polskiego Związku Krakowego w towarzystwie pani Justin Wilmot, team lidera Wielkiej Brytanii.
Medals will be presented by Mr. Canoe, president of Polish Canoe Federation, accompanied by Mrs. Justin Wilmot, team leader of Great Britain.
Miejsce trzecie i brązowy medal Artura Seja, Litwa.
Third place and bronze medals, Ukraine.
There you have your men's K1 200-metre bronze medalist. That was Arturas Seja of Lithuania, the reigning under-23 world champion, and silver medalist at last year's World Championships. Really showing his consistency on the world stage.
Second place and silver medal, France.
And it was Maxime Beaumont of France who took that silver. Brilliant performance from the experienced paddler. Just didn't have quite enough to take that gold medal from his rival Liam Heath.
Miejsce pierwsze i złoty medal. Liam Heath! Wielka Brytania!
And it's another gold medal for Great Britain's Liam Heath, the reigning Olympic champion. And after a year paddling in the Great Britain men's K4, he's back. He's back in his K1 and he's back performing at the top of his game once again, taking the gold ahead of France's Maxime Beaumont, just as he took that gold at the Olympic Games ahead of Beaumont as well. And you can see the final power. Liam Heath just putting it down over the last few meters.
Dziękujemy i gratulujemy.
Thank you and congratulations.
So the next race we will have will be the men's C2 500-metre final. In this race, only 9 boats actually started across the 2 heats, so all of them have made this final. So I expect we could see rather a stretched out, drawn out final in this 500-metre race. And double canoe boat racing is a whole different kettle of fish, isn't it, Jess, with a paddler paddling on each side?
Yeah, they. I didn't know this before, but sometimes you have paddlers paddling on the same side. So I think the aim is most teams, they try and have them on a paddler on each side, but sometimes they can be on both sides. So I'm not sure how that works, but something to do with the steering. But yeah, I don't know about in this race, but there might be some different combinations.
Well, in lane 1 we have Kazakhstan, that's Viktor Stepanov and Vladimir Petrov. Alongside them in lane 2, that's the Ukrainian pairing of Dmytro Ianchuk and Taras Mishuk. Olympic bronze medalists in the C2000 at Rio 2016. Under 23 world champions in the C2000 back in 2015. They've been paddling together a long time. They've got a lot of races under their belts. And in lane 3, that's Poland's Mateusz Kaminski and Michał Kudła. They won gold at the World Cup in Szeged last year, looking for the medals again. In lane 4, that's China's Wang Hao and Li Chang. Wang Hao raced in the C1000 less than an hour ago, so he would have had a quick recovery, quick turnaround. Second Chinese crew in this men's C2 500-metre final, that's Liu Hao and Zheng Pengfei. Really seen the depth that China has in the C1, C2 department across men and women so far in today's racing. In lane 6, that's Poland's Arcelin Śliwiński and Michał Marek Lubniewski, bronze medalists at last year's World Championships. Certainly very much contenders for the medals today. In lane 8, in lane 7 is Ukraine. In lane 8, that's Germany's Tim Hecker and Moritz Adam. And there in lane 7 is Yuri Vandiuk and Andriy Rybachuk of Ukraine. Under 23 European champions and world silver medalists all the way back in 2014. So we've had plenty of time in a boat together, and they're underway. Really, really powerful start across the board. It's fantastically close. But in the early stages, you can see that it's just the Polish crew of Śliwiński and Lubniewski who have got out to an early start. It's China's Liu and Zheng who also get away quickly, not letting that Polish crew get too much of a lead. And Ukraine with that really high stroke rate in lane 7 in the red boat with the yellow vests, they're up there as well. Watch the Ukrainian pair out in lane 2 as well, Ianchuk and Mishuk. but still with Poland in lane 6. Silver medalists in the C2 200 at last year's World Championships. Also making an impression here in the C2 500 metres. And Poland now slipping back as the Ukrainian pair of Vandiuk and Rybachuk moves into the lead. They're through the 200-metre mark now. 200 metres to go. Really, really powerful race here from the two Chinese crews out in the middle as well. That's Liu and Zheng of China in lane 5. Such a close race now. It's Yanchuk and Mischuk of Ukraine. They're out in lane 2, really putting their names down for a medal as well. Less than 100 metres left to go. The Polish crew are coming back at it now. Can they finish within the medals? It is China, though, who look like they have the lead by half a boat length, heading in to the last 50 metres. Can they hang on and take that gold medal? They can. It's China, followed by Poland, with Ukraine in the bronze medal. And the lead there just changed so often in that race, Jess. That was such an unpredictable race.
That was a really good race again, and I think the China are showing how strong they are at this event in the sea boats. They have a lot of depth in there. They've got 2 really good C2s. And it's interesting seeing all the different techniques as well. I thought the Polish looked really just relaxed and smooth, and then they were coming through.
There we have in lane 2 those Olympic bronze medalists, and they took the bronze here today. And there's the Chinese crew, the winners, Liu Hao and Zheng Pengfei of China, who took the gold medal with a lunge towards the line, just inches ahead of Poland's Arsen Ślewiński and Michał Marek Lubniewski. Really high octane race as China's Liu punches the air, having taken the gold medal. Liu raced with Wang Hao last year and won bronze at Duisburg World Cup in the C2 500 and the C2000. This time it's gold, half a second separating China and Poland in this C2 men's 500-metre final. And it was Yanchuk and Mischuk of Ukraine who took the bronze. We'll see if we can get you some. It was China who also finished in 4th, with Kamiński and Kudła of Poland who finished 5th. The second Ukrainian boat, Rybachuk and Vandiuk of Ukraine taking 6th, with Germany in 7th, Kazakhstan in 8th, and the Czech Republic finishing in 9th.
Congratulations. What does it mean for you to win here in Poland?
Today's win very big. Today I'm very happy. This is my first world champion. Thank you.
Yes. Congratulations.
Fantastic for that pairing, as he said, is his first World Cup medal. First World Cup gold. Really, really proud moment for that Chinese pair in the men's C2 500 metres, taking that gold medal. The second Chinese crew just being edged out of the medals there. They finished in 4th place. And again, the same, Jess, was mentioned there, was just the conditions, how wavy it was, and how bumpy it was out there.
Yeah, it's interesting hearing the winners mention it as well, because obviously they're dealing with it the best, and I think there's an element of that out here today. But it means that they're pretty strong in the head to deal with it that well.
The next race we have is the final of the women's K2 500 metres. We're back in the Olympic classes now. This one is going to be an extremely exciting, closely fought race. This is one of those ones where the paddlers are going to want to be testing out those partnerships ahead of Olympic qualifying later this year. making an impression, putting down a marker against their rivals.
I think this is one of the most exciting races. It's really interesting to see how they'll do it as well. I really like a lot of these athletes. I don't know, I'm guessing the Belarusians are going to be really impressive, and I do know that one of them has been away and had a baby, so you've got several women here that have gone and had a baby and come back, and that's incredible, and we're starting to see more and more of that. I don't know how they're doing it, but it's impressive. Also to mention that the Belgian crew with Hermine, she's injured at the moment, and I think she's in quite a bit of pain, but she's out there and she's about to race final A, so it's impressive.
So there we have in lane 1 from Poland, Justyna Iskrzydska and Anna Puławska, gold medalist at the Junior World Championships in 2014. And they also won gold at the Junior Europeans in that year in the K2000. So 5 years later, they're back pairing up. And Justyna Iskrzydska is also the reigning under-23 European champion in this event with Paulina Paszek. Alongside them from New Zealand, Amy Fisher and Caitlin Ryan. Both in the New Zealand K4 that won silver at the World Championships last year. And both with plenty of K2 experience, plenty of K2 credentials under their belts as well. Amy Fisher won silver at the World Championships last year in the K2 200, teaming up with Kayla Imrie. And in lane 3, as just pointed out, the Belgian pairing, Hermine Peters and Lisa Brooks. They won bronze at the European Championships last year. Also bronze medalists at the Marathon World Championships back in 2016. Really versatile athletes, the Belgian pair. In lane 4, Zhou Yu and Huang Jiayi of China. Huang Jiayi, a former under-23 world champion in the K4. And in lane 5, from Belarus, Olga Hudenka and Marina Litvinchuk. Both of them were in the K4 that won European and World Championship gold back in 2015. They took bronze at the Olympic Games in Rio in 2016 as well. Alongside them, Slovenia's Spela Ponomarenko, Yannick and Anya Osterman. Manon Ostons and Sara Guillot of France in lane 7. Maria Poth and Ludmila Kuklinovska of Ukraine in lane 8. With Austria's Anna Roxana Lehach and Victoria Schwartz in lane 9, and they're underway. Big, powerful start from Ukraine and also from the Belarusians in lane 5 as well. France's Manon Ostons and Sara Guillot going really well. The reigning European champions finished 4th at the World Championships last year, but it is Belarus who just knows their way into the lead. That's Hudenka and Litvinchuk. Hudenka, a world champion in the K1 500 back in 2017, but the medals are going really close. It is them who have the lead, but keep an eye on that Belgian pairing of Peters and Brooks out in lane 3. They'll certainly be contending for the medals. Also going well is France's Ostons and Guillot. Sara Guillot, 2015 European champion in the K1 200. Really powerful race though here from the Belarusians. 200 meters to go. As just mentioned, Ponomarenko Yannick from Slovenia, she's just come back from having a baby back in October. Can she get herself into the medals as well? So they've got 100 meters left to go now. Hudenka and Litvinchuk of Belarus have clear water ahead of the rest of the field. There are boat lengths in the lead. Peters and Brooks of Belgium currently in the silver medal position. The battle is on for those silver and bronze medals though. It's not over yet in those positions, but it's going to be Belarus who take the gold. It will be the Belgians who take the silver. Fantastic for them. And I think the Slovenian crew of Spela Ponomarenko Yannick and Anya Osterman took the bronze there. That will be, have to see the replay to really see that one, but a fantastic finish from the Belgians to take the silver medal, but the gold medal went to Olga Hudenka and Marina Litvinchuk of Belarus.
That was a really good race. I'm so happy to see the Belgian girls getting a silver medal. That's very impressive considering I'm injured as well. It was a good race.
So yeah, it was that Belarusian crew who from the first stroke were out in the lead. Ukraine got a really good start as well in lane 8, but weren't able to hold on to the medals. You can see the waves now coming up almost to the top of the deck. Focus and concentration all the way down that race. See how the athletes rotate. It's not just about the arms, it's about the whole body, the legs driving their way towards the finish line. And a smile on the faces of the World Cup gold medalists as they approached the finish line. They knew they had the gold. They had clear water. A fantastic finish for them as they pulled away. And it was Peters and Brooks of Belgium who took the silver ahead of Ponomarenko Yannick and Osterman who took the bronze. And a fantastic story there with Spela Ponomarenko Yannick coming back to gain a World Cup medal within a matter of months of giving birth to her second child. It was France's Guillaume and Ostens who took 4th, Fisher and Ryan from New Zealand with 5th, and Iskazika and Puławska of Poland finishing in 6th place there. And that's fantastic for Ponomarenko Yannick to be able to come back within sort of 8 months and perform at that level.
It is, and I'd love to know how she does that, but she has a lot of experience. She's been around as long as I can remember, and that doesn't go away, and the body remembers as well, so she's obviously had a good run of training and being consistent.
And a good, I can imagine, a really good physiotherapy, a really good team around her, a really good psychology team around her to be able to recover and come back and perform on the world stage again. 3-time Olympian Spela Ponomarenko Yannick, and still performing. There you have your winners, Belarus, Olga Hudenka and Marina Litvinchuk. Qualified the fastest, the firm favourites, and a very, very gutsy, very, very classy performance by those Belarusians.
Well, congratulations on a World Cup gold. I mean, it looks so easy, but I'm sure it was not easy.
Not so easy, I'm sorry. Not so easy, but weather not so good. But we had hard work, and this result, we very happy. Sorry,
It's okay, congratulations.
I learned.
No, you've done well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, just catching them after they've had the race of their lives. Or the Belgian girls embracing each other on the finish line there. I don't know if that's through exhaustion or through the potential disappointment of not being able to take the gold medal, but it was still a really good performance by Peters and Brooks of Belgium.
I think they'll be happy with the silver medal.
Just exhausted.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, we have just one A final left this afternoon. That's the men's K1 500 metres. We've already had the men's K1 1000. So we might see a few familiar faces out there on the water in just a moment or two. 1:38.366 was the winning time for the Belarusian pairing in the women's K2 500 metres. So just over a second slower than the world's best time, and really fast conditions out there. K1 men's 500 metres is the next race on course this afternoon. We've got 2 Australian paddlers in this A final. 2 from Portugal as well, Fernando Pimenta and João Ribeiro going head-to-head in lanes 6 and 7. So out there in lane 1, in the green and yellow boat, that's Matthew Goebel from Australia, 29-year-old. He's making somewhat of a comeback and getting himself back on the Australian team.
Number 100.
in 2018. Raced K4 at the World Cups last year, now back in his K1. And alongside him in lane 2, we will have the South African paddler Christian Coetzee. And I guess the two athletes that we'll be looking out for this afternoon will probably be Tom Liebscher of Germany, he's in lane 5, and Fernando Pimenta of Portugal in lane 6. Two really quality athletes. So there we have Coetzee of South Africa in lane 2. Finished 7th in Duisburg and 9th in Szeged on last year's World Cup circuit, looking to better that here in Poznan in Poland today. In lane 3, that's Lockie Tame of Australia, back in the Australian team after struggling with injury after Rio. Bronze medalist in the K2000 metres at Rio 2016 with Kenny Wallace. And in 2015, they were world champions in the K2 500. In lane 4, from the Czech Republic, that's Radek Šlauf, a former under-23 world champion in the K2000. And in lane 5, we just mentioned him, the silver medalist at the World Championships last year, Tom Liebscher of Germany. Alongside him, Fernando Pimenta of Portugal, who took gold in the men's K1000 metres less than an hour ago now. Can Pimenta get the double here at Malta Lake? Alongside him, his teammate from Portugal, João Ribeiro, 4th at the World Championships last year. And in lane 8, that's Arthur Peters of Belgium, just 22 years old, the reigning under-23 European champion over K1000. And in lane 9, we've got Erwin Holpert of Serbia. Lockie Tame just getting himself into the buckets. The other athletes keep themselves stable and wait. Powerful start across the board from this men's K1 500 metre field, and it's Matthew Goebel of Australia who has the biggest start of all. He noses himself into an early lead. Pimenta, though, is there in contention, but at the moment it's impossible to separate between these 9 athletes. Pimenta now nosing himself into the lead. Jess, who have you got your eye on in this 500 metre race?
Oh, I don't want to say, but I think we're going to see different, very, very different race plans again. I think Tom Liebscher tends to hold back a bit and then comes through.
Pimenta's race plan of powering out of the blocks early and holding on to the lead, it certainly worked in the 1,000 metres earlier on. He has a lead again, and Liebscher has slipped back to a boat length behind Pimenta. They're just coming up to the 200 metre mark now. Pimenta in the lead, ahead of Goebel of Australia. And Goebel stay in contention and grab himself a medal in this K1 500 metre final. Liebscher is putting the power down. Who is going to have the most left in the tank over the last 100 metres? Who's going to lift that power and push themselves towards that finish line? Liebscher is coming back on Pimenta now. There's 50 metres left to go. Can Pimenta hold on for a second gold medal of the day? He's still a boat length ahead of Liebscher. Liebscher not quite closing the gap. Liebscher within half a boat length now, but it will be Pimenta ahead of Liebscher, with Christian Coetzee of South Africa taking the bronze. And a second gold medal of the day for Fernando Pimenta of Portugal. He's making winning a habit, Pimenta.
Yeah, he makes it look very easy.
What did you make of that race, Jess?
I think, I don't 100% know, but I think if it's conditions like this, you probably are better off going out ahead. It's quite hard to pick up the speed of the boat when the waves are rolling behind you halfway through the race. But then the South African Christian, he came through at the end. It was quite impressive.
Yeah, that was definitely a really powerful finish from the South African paddler. As we were saying earlier, 7th in Duisburg, 9th in Szeged this year. Now a bronze medal for Christian Coetzee. But Fernando Pimenta, so far the star of the day when it comes to men's K1 racing. 2 golds under his belt, 1 in the K1000, 1 in the K1 500 now. Tom Liebscher of Germany taking the silver. And despite a really, really powerful start from Matt Goebel of Australia, just slipped out of the medal places.
Lockie Tane, did he get a 4th there? That was a good result for him. Just close to the medals.
See those final results in a moment. Pimenta now, the reigning world and European champion in the K1000, showing such quality over both distances as well, and amazing to be able to recover and get yourself back on top form. And it's really nice to see the sort of friendship between the athletes from different countries. There's not necessarily a lot of animosity, is there?
No, there's nice camaraderie going on, isn't there? And each athlete, well, not all of them, but they like to mention other athletes as well, which is nice.
And Liebscher, the German who just took the silver, he was world champion in the K1000 back in 2017. Fantastic for Christian Coetzee of South Africa to be up there with these guys.
Race number 166, which will take
That rounds off our A finals of the day so far. We've seen some really, really fantastic racing, as well as Pimenta's double gold. We've also seen a gold medal for Jose Ramon Pellier Cordova, the 18-year-old of Cuba in the C1000. Brilliant racing from him. Alyssa Bull of Australia, she took gold in the women's K1000. And the K2 500 was won by Berger and La Flotte de Courchemont of France.
Well, Fernando, you didn't need to do 2 races today. You did, and you won gold in both. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's another one amazing race, hard race, because we have the top athletes in the world, and I think it's good for the people know what is canoeing sport and follow more as sport, because it's a beautiful sport. It's for me it's the most beautiful sport and I think we give a very good show and give the best of us on the water, and outside of the water we have a lot of respect, and we are friendship every time.
Great day for you, mate. Congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Respect and friendship and really, really hard racing. Well, that's it for the first day of finals here at the ICF Canoe Sprint World Cup, and what a day of racing it has been. Double gold for Fernando Pimenta of Portugal, the headline here in Poznan. That's it from here, though, in Poland for today, that is. We'll be back tomorrow with plenty more finals, including the men's and women's K4 500 metres, as well as the K2 and C2 200 metres and the women's K1 500 metres.
Puchar Świata w karcie Poznan Malta 2019, ceremonia dekoracji.